She looks at me dead in the eyes and says, "You're too late, you're not performing." Hi guys, welcome to my channel. I feel so weird doing this because I literally never talk. I just play and then hope for the best. But today I just wanted to share this crazy story. Let's just get into it. Story time about the single most movie-like day of my life. So some of you know that I went to Interlochen Arts Academy for 2 years. I went there for my senior year, that was my first year, and then I did an extra year, like a gap year, but I was still doing all the art stuff. And my second year, we were able to go on a tour to New York. And we got to perform at the Lincoln Center at David Geffen Hall. It was a really great experience, but that day of the performance was insane for me. So every tour, they try to showcase Interlochen as a whole and all of the different departments, all of the different, talents and everyone, but obviously it's a 500 student body. So they had to select, I think 100 and something students to go to the performance, to the tour. It was a 1 week long thing. And out of those 100 students, the majority was part of the orchestra because we had to make, full orchestra to perform in the second act. The first act was the theater majors, the dance department, the design and production department, the jazz. It was everything else. The entire second act was just the orchestra. We rehearsed for like months before the concert, and that year just so happened to be the year that I was auditioning for colleges. I auditioned to 11 places, one of them being the Curtis Institute of Music. For those of you that don't know what the Curtis Institute of Music is like the hardest conservatory to get into in the US. It's been here for a while, and it's one of the most prestigious institutions. Luckily, I got past the pre-screen round and I was given an audition date for Curtis. But this is the part where everything starts to get tricky. My Curtis audition date was the same date as our Interlochen concert at David Geffen Hall. I don't know how to explain to you how freaked out I was, because on one side, this is the hardest place to get into. I was like, holy cow, this is crazy. And I can't miss out on an opportunity like this. Yes, I'm gonna audition for Curtis. But at the same time, I didn't want to miss out on the concert, the biggest concert of my 2 years at Interlochen. The second that I received this news, I had to tell all of my teachers at Interlochen, including the theater department teachers, because guess what? My quartet got invited to perform live for the dancers. They invited us to play Oblivion while the dancers were doing their act. And this was going to take place at the end of Act 1. But either way, nothing was ensuring me that I was going to get there on time, because having both things on the same date meant that I had to travel from New York to Philly, have my audition at Curtis, and then come back to New York for my performance at 7:30 p.m. I had to find a sub, and one of my friends was able to, sub in for me in case that I didn't make it. So fast forward to the tour. The week started, we had rehearsals, we actually had side-by-sides with some of the New York Phil musicians. We watched performances, we met incredible people. It was great. But then the last day came, the performance date, and it was my time to go to Curtis to have my audition. My mom traveled from home to be with me for my audition. And to watch the concert, obviously. Me and my mom wake up at 4 a.m. to take the train to Philly, and I think we arrived at 7 a.m., something like that. I think the train ride itself was an hour and a half, 2 hours. We got breakfast and we got settled in Philly. My audition happened at 1 or so, but I actually had a couple hours to practice and to get ready for my audition. When I tell you I have never been more nervous, I literally had a whole mental breakdown. I was at Curtis and I was like, I can't believe I'm here. I was crying. I was literally crying. It's also because Curtis asked for so much. They literally asked for my entire concerto, my entire sonata, an entire Bach suite, all scales, and a contemporary piece. It was crazy, and I was overwhelmed, obviously. I was just terrified. And they literally ended up asking me for one movement of my concerto and a little bit of my sonata, and then they actually didn't ask for my sonata. Yeah, they asked for a Bach movement and then my contemporary piece. And so it's 15 minutes before my audition, I'm in the warm-up room, I'm having this mental breakdown, whatever, but I try to calm myself down, and then I enter the audition place, and suddenly I'm calm. I think I just released all of my nerves and all of my stress beforehand, and once I entered that room, I was okay, I'm doing this. And it was the best audition. I feel I played my heart out. It was great, and I felt very good about it. So I performed, everything is done. And then I go out of the room and I'm okay, I did it. And I'm supposed to wait to see, because I think there's 2 rounds, and I was waiting for my results to see if I got to the final round. There were 10 people in that room that had just done their auditions. I can't remember a single person that got past that round. I literally don't know what happened. I don't know who got the viola spot for this year, but none of the people that were there and none of the people that I knew got past that round. So yeah, I didn't make it to the second round, but I felt great. When I got the results that I wasn't going to be in the second round, I looked at my mom and I was like, okay, let's just go home. So we're in the Uber at this point. We're going to the Amtrak station and I'm just very sad, because I didn't make it. And it felt really good. Like I actually genuinely thought that I was going to make it. I felt disappointed, but at the same time, it is the hardest place to get into. I don't know, it was like a bunch of mixed feelings and I was just trying not to let it get to me for like the concert that was that night. But our train was scheduled to leave at 5:30 and I ended at like 2, something like that. So we just decided to leave right away. There's no point of us staying there anymore. We go to the Amtrak station and we just decide to get an earlier ticket, and the earliest one is at 5. The concert starts at 7:30, but I had to be there at 7 for when they open the doors. So we hop on the train and I have my viola in my bag with like all my clothes and my iPad and everything. And I'm wearing this like big long concert dress. We wait, the ride was great. And then we arrived to New York at 6:50, 10 minutes before the house opened. On our way to David Geffen, I realized that they weren't going to let me in with my bag because they had to do a security check, whatever, and that was going to take up a lot of time. So me and my mom decided to go to our hotel, drop off our stuff, and leave. The hotel was literally like 2 blocks from David Geffen. At this point, it's like 7:05. Like the house is already open and I'm not there. I was doing the best I could, okay? I'm getting all these calls from my friends from my quartet being like,
where are you? The manager's looking for you. If you don't come, they're gonna have to call the sub.
We get out of the hotel at like 7:10 and we're walking to David Geffen. But in the stress that was going on in my mind, I wasn't thinking straight. The hotel was like 2 blocks this way to David Geffen. Like here's the hotel and here's David Geffen. I just had to walk straight. For some reason, I was disoriented and I walked this way instead. When I realized that I was walking the wrong way, I looked at my mom and I started just like tearing up. I was like,
Mom, we went the wrong way. We need to go back.
And she was like, no,
let's just keep going.
So we just did a circle and then we arrived. We arrived to David Geffen at 7:18, something like that. I had no idea where to go because that same day they had the dress rehearsal. And before that, we had no idea how to get backstage, how to do anything. I wasn't there the entire day, so I literally had no idea what to do. But I find the music director in the hall and I'm like, can you
please help me? I need to get there.
He helped me. He was like,
oh my gosh, yes, let's go.
And he takes me backstage. I'm running. I'm literally sprinting with him. And I'm walking down the hall with like all my friends, all the orchestra people are there. And they're like, oh,
Val, how was the audition? And
I was like,
can't talk, I gotta go.
So we go upstairs, we get backstage, and then I see the stage manager. I'm like,
where do I have to go? Where's the mic? Where's everything?
She looks at me dead in the eyes and says, you're too late. You're not performing. I immediately broke down. I was like, okay. And I turn around and I leave. She literally was looking up at the screens where like they could see the stage and everyone that was there. And I'm coming in from this way. I'm like right here. She's looking at the screen. She turns to me. She says this and then she looks back at the screen. Girl. I immediately started crying. I was going down the stairs and when I tell you this adrenaline rush that I had just completely leaves my body. I was just drained at that point. And I broke down. I was crying. Not just because of the fact that I realized that I was no longer going to be able to perform with my quartet members and the dancers and everything that we had been preparing for months, but also because I had gone through so much that day that a part of me was like, it's your fault, kind of. When I'm going down, I go back to the same hall where all of my friends are, and I'm just bawling my eyes out. Everyone just looks at me and they're like immediately worried. They're like, wait,
what happened? And
I'm just like, I can't.
And
I go to a corner and I just sit in the corner and I start crying and I just start letting everything out. But suddenly I hear a voice of someone saying my name, be like,
where's Val? And they're all calling my name. Val, where are you? And I'm like,
what's happening? So I get up, I try to like wipe my tears off, try to like look a little bit stronger.
I'm looking for you. You're going on stage.
And I'm like, I don't know how to process this. Like, bro, you just made me go through a roller coaster of emotions. And I'm like, okay, whatever. And I'm like still crying. And I go backstage and one of the theater teachers is there and the singer-songwriter teacher is there. And they like come for me. They're being super sweet. They're like, it's okay, you're gonna make it. I'm all mic'd up. I have my viola on hand. And they open the door to the stage. And the first thing I see is my quartet. I love these guys so much. Like, I miss them. I see them and immediately I start crying again. Like I'm like tearing up just thinking about it now. I see my friend Luke and he hugs me. And he's like, what's wrong? And they all hug me. And I calm down, and the performance finally starts. We wait like another 40 minutes before we have to perform. And at that time, I was already good. I was like, okay, I'm here. You know those movies where it's like the main character like goes through something and I don't know, like someone kills their dog or something.
Huh?
Then she's just upset. She wants to get revenge. That's kind of how I felt. I like wanted to get revenge. I was like, oh, like I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna kill it. That's what I did. I mean, it wasn't the best performance because, bro, it was loud, okay? Like, cut me some slack. It's our turn to go on stage and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And I breathe and I just see this huge audience and the stage is just beautiful. And it's our turn to perform and I'm playing the melody from Oblivion. And it just felt like a movie. It was just like surreal. And then we're out waiting for the first act to finish. Then we go on stage for the second act. I have a lot of fun. We perform with the orchestra and yeah, it was insane, man. But I'm really thankful for that day and for that tour, you know, and for the audition too. Like it was just really, really great. But yeah, it was a crazy day. And yeah, that's what happened. That's my story time. If you like this, don't forget to subscribe and follow my TikTok and Instagram accounts at ValPlaysViola. See you next time.